Elliot Tanner is the founder of Stashed Products and the inventor of a groundbreaking development in bicycle storage. Elliot had to find more room for his beloved bikes after the birth of his daughter, so he used his background in product development to create the SpaceRail, a mounted rail that can store up to 8 bikes. He appeared on Dragon's Den in 2025, having hit £2 million in sales the previous year, and rode out of the BBC studio with a £100,000 investment from Tuka Sullivan in exchange for 7% of his business. Now we chat to Elliot about the impact of founding a business on day-to-day life, the importance of showing your face to customers at industry events, and why Wales just might be the perfect place to start a startup. This is Ember Startups meets Stashed Products. Thank you for watching. From my understanding, you founded Stashed initially soon after the birth of your daughter as a way to quite literally make more room for your passion for cycling. And so as you're juggling those two roles of startup founder and also father of a young child, do you still find time for your passion for sport and exercise now?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's one of the things you're like, oh, I want to start a business in the bike world because I get to ride my bike all the time.
Yeah,
And you start a business and then you ride your bike even less
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're so busy. Um, I think unfortunately it has to be all consuming if you want success. Like, um, I've been at it 3 years and I put every waking hour and moment into it, weekends, evenings, early mornings, whilst doing a day job and having a family. And it, you can get success without doing that, but if you want it to happen quickly, I think you've got to do it. And um, just referring back to the last question about what is success this year, for me, success is the business is working itself and it's running itself with the right people that actually I don't have to do all of those hours now. I don't have to be running 6 departments. So yeah, it was stressful. It put stress at home. It put stress financially because I didn't pay myself for a long time. Luckily I had a day job for a long time to keep the family going and paying the bills. But yeah, overall it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. But it's sometimes you got to get the people you live with and your family to buy into it, and that was probably a challenge at the start. It's you're trying to spin your vision to everyone at home and go, I'm going to put all my time and effort into this. Um, it's going to be a success, and they're like, all right, yeah. Um, so yeah, now they can see the fruits of it. It's a bit easier.
Mhm. Well, speaking of those earlier days, I know that the Business Wales scheme was quite a big help to you. Um, how did that scheme sort of help your growth? And now, who are the other people and mentors and agencies maybe that are helping you on your founder journey?
Yeah, so business sales are fantastic. I mean, I would recommend if you want to start a business in Wales.
Hmm.
I think from what I understand, there's so much more support available for a business starting in Wales, rather than in England. We've been really fortunate. I mean, I've always been involved in Welsh manufacturing. I've always lived in Wales. I feel proud to start a business here, make a viable, sustainable, profitable business here. But in the first instance, I think we mainly contacted them for the R&D support because that's where my background is. Um, but once I got into their system and started meeting the right advisors, you then realize there's so much support for basically everything you want to do. One of the key bits of support we have is for export. They've been absolutely brilliant for creating links abroad, for putting you in contact with people, for finding you the right legal advice, for supporting you with going to trade shows, for helping you get there, helping you pay for stands and flights. And without their support, we would never have gone to America early on.
Mm.
So we went to do a big show in the US called Sea Otter, and we'd never have considered that. We were such a tiny business at the time, but luckily there was some support available. And actually, we took that chance, and now the US is 35% of our business. And I sit back and think, if we'd never done that, we would never have discovered that we've got a huge market in the US. So yeah, their support's been absolutely invaluable. Since then, it's moved on to a lot of R&D support. I suppose it's because it's my speciality, it's my background. We've managed to bring in help to develop new products, and productionize existing products. And I can't really say too much, but we're about to launch a whole new range of products, which again, we probably just wouldn't have taken the risk at that early stage, and we wouldn't have spent the money because you you're entering risk, whereas actually with their help, you're minimizing your risk and you're taking chances in R&D. So yeah, it's been amazing having their support. We've also had some local support from the council in terms of facilities and warehousing. So I think probably my bit of advice is just get in contact with your local advisor and just ask questions and just see where they can help, because there's always someone there who will be able to give you some advice, that they want to see you succeed, because if you're succeeding, you're good for the local economy, you're good for the local
Mm.
community. It's all it comes back for them. Um so yeah, so that's what I had from Welsh Government, Business Wales. Then I've got a mentor as well, who is a guy called John Davies. He's been a very successful entrepreneur in the past. He grew a business called UMove, which is dog supplements, previous, and he sold that a couple of years ago. And he's actually my godfather. But I hadn't really been contacted him for like 10, 15 years, and then just a random chance meeting at a birthday party and got a chatting again. And ever since then, he's been really heavily involved with the business. And that's probably been one of the key turning points in the business, is having that external mentor who's they're not in the day-to-day running, but they're involved enough to understand really what's happening every month within the business, and that real top level view with a little bit of bottom level detail, just to help you make decisions. Um, the the worst bit of starting a business is it's a really lonely place to be when it's just yourself. I now understand why people start a business with a partner or someone else, because it's really hard by yourself to make decisions. And um, you think it over and over in your head, but the reality is you just need to talk it through with someone. And there's my wife got to a point where, you know, in the early days, probably we could talk about a few things like, business details or whatever, but you get to a point where you're making big decisions, and your wife, who's a nurse, probably isn't the right person to give you that good advice. There's the sensible and moral advice, whatever, but in terms of really good business advice, you need some help and some support. So yeah, getting someone who's been through it before, has got a book of contacts, been in those situations, knows about the problems you're facing, how it feels, is really, really helpful and important.
So, looking forward a bit, what does success look like to you? And has this vision changed over time?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it changes kind of weekly. The business has grown at such a rate that what you think is success this year or last year is very different. So I remember when I first started, if we started to sell a couple of £1,000 a month, I was over the moon. I was like, this is amazing. This is a nice little sideline. And then, then you're at the point where you're like, oh, we're trying to get to 100 grand a month. And then, now we're pushing for the 200 grand a month. And, what you're doing in a month is what you're doing in a day. And it changes so quick. It changes so quick. For me, for success, I mean, certainly at the minute, what our focus has been on is to build a team. So up until like 6 months ago, I was kind of head of department for engineering, R&D, operations, financing, sales, marketing, and it's just not sustainable in the long term, because you can't be good at all of that. You can be okay
Mm.
at it, but you can't be really good, and you can't be exceptional at it without that background, skill base, and experience. So for me, the last couple of months, we've put a couple of really key members of staff into place at a high level, high strategic level to actually take over those roles for me. So for me, success at the minute is actually building a business that runs by itself, as in day-to-day running. It's actually capable of being a business standalone without needing me there all the time. And that's going on holiday for 2 weeks has been a really good stress test of that. That actually we've got a fantastic team of people now who are taking a grasp of elements of the business and running it themselves. And
Mhm.
that to me is what is success this year. But we're already I suppose we've achieved that, and then the success for the rest of the year will be different, and next month it will change. It might be how do we set up in the US, and have we started a US business, and it
Mm.
it it just moves so quick.
Speaking about the
Mm.
wider cycling industry as a whole now, you said before that the international markets have been really important for your growth, in particular America. Um,
Yep,
as I think it was Tuka who mentioned on the Den, the UK's cycling industry has taken a bit of a hit the last few years. Are there certain
yep.
trends that you see in it that give you hope that it can bounce back?
Um, I think all of it's quite a long way from coming back. I think there's hope and I think there's optimism, but we're in quite a privileged position because we talk to a lot of people across various industries and from suppliers to retailers we're selling to or affiliates and customers. Like we get a I think we get a good feel for where the industry is at. Um, I think it's really hard for retailers still. Um, and I mean, the main problem is there seems to be too much stock and not enough demand, and everyone's discounted everything, and no one's making any money, and it's not sustainable. I think we're in a fortunate position because we've got an opportunity to do something different. Because we've been direct to consumer, we've got ability to be a bit innovative with how we are going to sell through retail or through retailers. We've come up with something called our rail scheme, which is essentially more of an affiliate selling method rather than a stock holding method for retailers. Which we think will work a lot better because they're not having to hold stock, they're not having to pay cash up in it, they're not having to put boxes on their shop floor. And actually, we've tried to be innovative and disruptive and looked at what's not working in the industry, and it's given us that idea that actually this could be the future of it. So I'm really excited by that, um, because the world has I think the world has changed in terms of maybe 20 years ago, you started a brand, you sold to a distributor, sold to a retailer, and onto the consumer, and there's just too many steps in there, and there's too many margins that you need. So I'm really excited by it. I see the opportunity in it, but I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, I think retail is hard at the minute, especially the UK. Um, I mean, the positive thing for me is we're still seeing really good growth even in this time. And it makes me think that once actually the bike world gets back to where it should be and back onto the trend it was on, um, I'm really excited for that because actually we're seeing growth and we're being really positive now. What's it going to be like when it's back to normal?
So you touched on there some of the struggles in the industry at the moment in the UK, at least. What are the best parts
Yeah.
of working in the cycling industry and with the cycling community, both in this country and around the world?
I think it's just a really friendly community. I mean, at the end of the day, we all ride bikes and um, we all love bikes and gear. And, at the end of the day, I just love making really nice products and people in the bike world like nice products. And I mean, the thing is, I never came from the bike world. As much as I was in the cycling world, I ride bikes, but I was never in the business of the cycling world. So it's taken me actually a couple of years to start making that contact base. Um, I look back from my career and I've got a great contact base for suppliers and manufacturers and intellectual property and stuff like that because that's where I've been. That's very generalist. Actually, when it's coming to selling and marketing and selling product into the bike world, I zero contacts. So it's taken me quite a time to actually know who are the players, who to talk to, how to build that network as well. It's taken me even the last couple of months, I've learned how to build that network of people, and LinkedIn's been really important for that. Um, Actually using the sales navigator on there has been brilliant 'cause I've never used that before, and it generated so much communications in the build up to the last trade show. I'm just about to enter that phase again, ready to go to the US, and I'm going to follow through that same process of building that contact base before we get to a show. And like in the past, I've just turned up at a show and stood there and waited for people to come to us. Whereas using the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you're already putting your face out there, your name, your business. Even if the people don't reply, they've at least read it and they know your name, your face. They walk past the stand and then they'll come, and it's
Hmm.
yeah, I'm still learning, still learning.
So it sounds like LinkedIn, the sales navigator, going to trade shows, being present. Those are great strategies for finding the right customers for the SpaceRail and for your future products. Are there any other kind of strategies or avenues you found that are particularly good for that?
I mean, it's certainly LinkedIn, the commercial side, business side of it. Absolutely, it's the way to go. I mean, coming back, it is social media is what allowed us to expand and grow so quickly. Um, you can't ignore it still as much as you want to not be on social media. The reality is social media drives day-to-day growth for the business because we've got to keep remembering that 97% of our business is direct to consumer, and we've got to communicate and build a brand through social media. Um, I mean, we were very lucky in the early phases by having some viral videos. Um, and again, total naivety, but I'd never really been on social media. I've never grown a business that's involving marketing before. And we put some videos on like Instagram, and then they were getting like 8, 9 million views, and they were just
Wow.
taking off. And I like my phone was just going ting 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 with like followers, and I was like, oh, this must be normal. That's how every business starts. And a couple people were like, no, it's not normal. And it's just like, I mean, our main competitor, I think, had 25,000 followers on Instagram, and they've been going 15 years. And then within a year and a bit, we'd overtaken them, and we've not got a huge following, but what a lot of people consider a boring product, bike storage, we've got a really good following, and you can't ignore social media still these days, even though you kind of want to. You go, oh, social media, but um. Yeah, and I have no idea how you make a viral video before you ask, because no one.
It
I
doesn't
still I
seem
wish
like a recipe list, does there? It just happens.
no. It's just so some of our ones now go off and some don't, and I wish I
Yeah,
knew because we'd have a really good business if we knew.
yeah. Well, so do I. I mean, it'd
Yeah.
be easy, wouldn't it? You just had the three pieces you need for a
Oh,
viral video and just chuck it out there, and it works every time.
yeah, Chica. But literally in the first 6 months, it didn't matter what we made, it just went viral. And like
Really?
the one that went viral was me in the house in my dirty old shorts, a set of sliders, and it literally is like 2 minutes we were filming, putting bikes on the rack, and it just went viral.
Wow. Makes a mockery of
You know,
high production
and
value, doesn't it? Yeah.
actually the week before we'd done like 5 days of photo shoots, video shoots, high cost, high pain, detailed, like beautiful imagery, but it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. And then literally a couple of minutes with your phone camera and a mate,
Yeah.
and off it goes.
What would you say are some of your own strengths and weaknesses as well?
Um, uh, Extremely detail orientated. And I think that that's represented in the brand and everything we do in terms of production, marketing, customer service. I've instilled that throughout the business that everything has to have a high level of detail. We're selling an expensive system, a premium system. Everything has to be right from how the customer interacts on the website to the delivery to the instructions to just everything has to be spot on. And I think it's a really good thing. It can be a bit painful sometimes, probably for people around me. Um, I'd also say I've probably got just a dogged determination that it just has to succeed. And I'm awful for just the more pressure on, the harder I work and the more I push through it, which some people probably have to stop and slow down and crumble a little bit and take that. But I kind of more that comes on, kind of the more I enjoy it and the more output I get out of it. Which I think is important. We wouldn't be where we are without actually, you know, doing a 14-hour day and getting it done and making it happen, really. I think probably the last thing is I've got a very creative mind in terms of products, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good as in we get new products and innovation coming out, and there's a lot on the go at the minute. But it makes it quite hard to sleep. Because I get I get into bed and just, my brain's still like a little hamster wheel going round, new ideas, what we've got to build, what we've got to innovate on, what have we got to do. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think a
Mhm.
very active brain. Um, it's very hard to switch off. Very hard to switch off. I have to, if to switch off, I have to kind of go on holiday and turn the phone off and be
Mhm.
completely away from it. Otherwise, I'm so excited by what we're doing that I can't get out my brain and just it's exciting. So
So, lastly, if you could do it all again and your journey was stashed, what would you do differently?
Ooh. I mean, to be honest, there's definitely moments where I wish I wasn't doing it. There's definitely moments where, like, literally, if I'd have Googled bike storage and someone already made something reasonably good, I'd be like, I'll just buy that. And like, there's been horrendous moments, like stressful moments. I'm like, I wish I wasn't doing this. Um, but when you balance it overall, I wouldn't be doing anything else. Like, I could never go and work for anyone else now because I do this. Um, I think if I start, I I kind of wish I'd started it with someone else. Like I came back to earlier, just having that second person with you on the journey. Like, the journey's more fun with other people. It's become a lot more fun now. We've got a big team of people who are they're on the stashed train with us. Um, it's become a lot more enjoyable. But actually having someone from the start who had a similar vision, who complemented your skills. So I'm very heavily into engineering, production, manufacturing, intellectual property, but zero sales, marketing skills or limited accounting skills. And actually having someone there uh, with me on that journey doing that would have been amazing. And I think through it now, and actually we could have been a lot further along if we'd have known what we know about sales and marketing now. We've got we've got uh, like a team of people now doing sales and marketing who are specialists in it. And if I'd have had that kind of person from the start, I think it would have accelerated along, and it would have then given me the free time to do what I'm really good at, because I'd be spending a lot of time doing sales and marketing things that I'm not good at, which took a lot of time and effort and headspace. Whereas actually, if you put me into operations and manufacturing, I could do wonderful things. And then having that person doing what they're really good at. So I think just thinking through that kind of who you want to start it with is is good. As I say, doing it by yourself is a lonely business.
Mhm.
And having that support around you would be good. But I mean, other than that, I wouldn't change anything else. I've made plenty of mistakes along the way. It's not been flawless, but you only learn, and I think back to what we knew 3 years ago to where we are today, and how naive I was with certain things. But you don't know it till you know it, do you?
No, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's
So
brilliant that you're managing to shape the business to free up more space, like you said, for you to do what you're passionate about and offload the other stuff to other people.
yeah, well, if you don't, you'll stifle the business.
Hmm.
I've worked in businesses where there's people involved who just can't let go of it, and the business ain't growing because you can't let go of what you're not that good at. And for me, the best moments that you hand off to someone who they're really good at it, and they do. If you know, they do a much better job than yourself. That's the goal.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm trying to be really aware of that, um, and delegate it out as much as possible.